This video starts a new series where I share how I process my dream life. This is about befriending the sleeping version of yourself. If you're interested, I can help you decode your dreams as well. But first, you need to develop a good relationship with your body while sleeping, with your subconscious, through various body postures while awake, and meditation techniques, as well as some pranayama, like breath work. Also, you need to keep a dream diary. I keep a dream diary. I've been keeping a dream diary for years. It's just been normal in my family, and I've been encouraged to do that and to trust my dreams ever since I was little. So there's many dreams. I am using them to complete my conscious life and awareness. I decided to make a series, a playlist, where I talk about my dreams in the hope it will inspire you to pay attention to your own dreams and to use the sleeping version of yourself to connect to your subconscious and to get to know yourself better and to get to make your life better. I list my dreams per years and dates and symbolism. In this dream, the first dream that I had in this year, 2026, I woke up from a dream where it looked like I had failed. There was a moth, not a butterfly, but a moth, or I called it a moth in the dream, that was hanging in a cocoon in my kitchen on the wall. I grabbed it and I wanted to take it outside, which I usually do with any living creatures. I don't kill them, I just grab them on a tissue or something and I want to put them outside. But then with this moth, I dropped it and I realized I pulled it too soon from its half-broken cocoon and I couldn't put it back in the cocoon, and I also couldn't release it outside because it didn't have wings yet and it was freezing cold. Guilt flooded me because I realized I did something halfway without proper consideration. The moth wasn't ready to fly, so I couldn't release it. It would die. And then I took it out too soon from the cocoon, so it would die. So I caused a death without a solution. And that so familiar, devastating feeling of guilt that has been my companion for most of my life was engulfing me again, feeling that I have caused an irreversible damage. And I felt so exhausted in the dream that I just needed to sleep. So I lay down on the kitchen floor and put myself to sleep. And then I realized this creature, this moth with no wings, had landed on my nape, like on the back of my head. And I could see it like this. I was like, wow, it was super huge and heavy and wingless. And it had this elongated body, like all around my nape. It was just lying on my nape. And then there was someone there, like an accusing voice, asked me with this imperative tone, so now you're just going to sleep? You took it out of the cocoon too soon. You cannot release it out to fly. And now you didn't even finish what you started. You started something too soon. You're in between and now you're just going to sleep. And this woke me up from the dream, this voice and this excessive, empowered guilt on top of the guilt I was already feeling in the dream. I woke up super stressed, like super exhausted, and it took me a while before I could fall asleep again. And this dream felt like an indictment, like a proof that I'm not ready, that I have left one world, like quitting my job to do this Let Spirit platform without fully entering into this actual world of YouTubing and coaching and online courses and whatever. And with a strong feeling that my spiritual depth and realizations might be just wasted potential, like just the idealistic part of me, not very pragmatic, though I call myself a pragmatic idealist. And this wasted potential was blowing nowhere. And this creature in the dream, I realized it looks more like a dragonfly than a moth. And that gave me like that was like the light at the end of the tunnel. And I realized, wait, I've never dreamed of a dragonfly before. I have dreamed of butterflies, maybe moths at some point, bats, and like, yeah, anyway, there's many symbols in the dreams, but never dragonfly. So that got me out of whatever processes of fear and other subconscious awakenings that I was having together with waking up from this dream. And I researched the symbolism. Moths are night creatures which are drawn to light. They come towards the light. But dragonflies are light creatures. This points to how I perceive my current transformation, from something hidden to something like invisible, to something requiring visibility and clarity in expression. And this is exactly what the transformation I'm going through while developing Let's Spirit, this coaching platform, this YouTube channel, and soon the books I'm gonna write. One at a time. And here's the revelation. Dragonflies don't have cocoons. I didn't know that. No, we were raised with the butterfly paradigm. The story where you must suffer, you must struggle in darkness, you go through a transformation and you must nearly die to yourself, maybe several times even. And if anyone helps you to break out too early, you will never develop the strength to fly on your own. Because, when it comes out of the chrysalid, the butterfly, like the worm that is before it becomes a butterfly, has to go through, enter the cocoon, become completely liquid, and then the butterfly body develops. And then they must come out of the cocoon and make the struggle of pushing through the layer in order for the blood to flood and for the actual wings to gain strength. So the idea is that if you don't have that struggle, your wings will be weak. And that's a proof that pain is educational. That's how we are raised to believe, right? No pain, no gain. Pressure makes the diamonds. What doesn't kill you make you stronger. Whereas something that is easy and smooth is not educational. It doesn't teach you anything. And yeah, that's a paradigm. Very familiar, isn't it? For butterflies, this is biology. This is how they are. It's a complete metamorphosis. But what about those beings who transform differently? Dragonflies, for example, they undergo incomplete metamorphosis, as I find out from my dream. They don't dissolve. They don't build protective casings. Instead, they live as nymphs underwater, hunting, growing, molting several times for months, sometimes years. They are like full version of themselves in an environment, and they are adapted to life underwater. They have gills in their butts to breathe underwater, and they are already themselves. They just live in this other underwater environment. And then one day, when the time comes, and only they know when that time comes, they crawl up a reed into air and light. And their final molt happens in full exposure. The old skin is cracking, the new form, their new shape is emerging, and it is first soft, vulnerable, wingless. And here's what the dragonfly must do. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. It must sit still on a dry surface in the light. That's all it has to do first. Crawl out of the water on a reed, dry surface in the light. and then nothing. While the exoskeleton hardens, takes shape, and the wings expand. And if it moves too soon, it will collapse or will be noticed by a predator and eaten. The transformation, it requires stillness, exposure, and time. Patience. Not struggle, not suffering. Just the courage to sit still while visible. Now I wonder, why did I have this dream? While I'm having all these inner processes about me becoming visible, making videos by myself, looking at myself on YouTube. I thought I was failing in a dream because I don't consider that I have a clear coaching methodology yet, although I keep developing it for a year now and improving it over and over again. I thought I failed because I no longer build my life around the same pillars that I used to, but I am creating new pillars to rely on. I thought I failed because I'm not integrated into the conventional society with a pension plan. Considering that I quit my job in order to put my heart and soul, time and energy and everything into this Let Spirit platform, YouTube channel and books without a safety net, like financially or societally as expected in society. And I thought in the dream that the half-broken cocoon meant that I damaged something irreversible. Like, how am I going to survive this? Like, this is crazy. Nobody does this. Nobody around me, within my family or close people around me, don't do that. But I did learn from others on YouTube who do that. So it's not like nobody else does that, but nobody around me in my immediate circle does that. However, the dream is telling me nothing was broken. I just never needed a cocoon. I spent years in the water studying astrology, tantra, yoga, Ayurveda, practicing body postures, breath work, meditating, translating deep spiritual texts, practicing over and over again, becoming a highly skilled masseuse, doing dream work like this video is about, leaving the questions that would become the answers. And that wasn't preparation for something grandiose. That was the transformation. I was undergoing that transformation. And it was just happening in a different environment, not visible as it is now with the YouTube. Now I have emerged into light and air. I am exposed, vulnerable, visible through this channel, and my instinct is to panic because I'm not flying yet. But dragonflies don't fly immediately. They sit. They let their structure harden. They take shape first in the light. The voice that was shaming me in the dream for just sleeping and being in between, that's the internalized butterfly paradigm. And I heard that voice from my teacher, spiritual teacher, over and over again for years. I just internalized it. And it's not just my spiritual teacher, it's basically every authority figure who taught me that struggle is prerequisite, that ease means you are lazy, but for a dragonfly, stillness is the work required. And how many of us are actually pros at being still? Not me. At least I have not become a pro. You know, baby dragonflies are also called nymphs or naiads. In Greek mythology, Naiads were potent water spirits, daughters of river gods, and they were guardians of springs and streams. They possessed prophetic powers. They could inspire poets. They could bring blessings. They were protectors of young maidens, responsible for their domains. They knew how to nurture and how to enforce boundaries when their waters were disrespected. Naiads were life givers, oracles, and sovereign beings, all while dwelling in the water. Dragonfly nymphs can spend up to 5 years, some, underwater, molting several times, like I said, constantly adapting and enjoying that environment. This isn't a lesser stage for their lives. It is actually most of their lives, maybe like 85-90% of their lives is spent like that. Oh, our Naiad years is that period where we learned to adapt to the system existing and become part of the system. The Dragonfly years is when we become sovereign and choose to live our own life. The emergence phase often feels like we are too exhausted to struggle anymore, that we simply decide enough is enough. We need to rest. And if you've been living underwater in any system, social or relational or institutionalized, like some kind of job, career, organization you've been part of, you are expected to pour yourself out endlessly while your own needs sat at the bottom of an endless list. Keep invisible systems running, the emotional labor everybody drinks from but takes for granted. Inspire everyone else's dreams while shelving your own. Adapt constantly, mold again and again to accommodate everyone else's growth. Give without asking what replenishes you. Stay humble, soft, never claim too much space. And this has been a narrative you no longer need to abide by. Let 2026 be the year you turn everything you did in service of others towards serving your own growth. Let yourself come first, or better said, second. Let spirit and connection with God come first, and let yourself come second. And from there, let the others follow along. Be the light, starting with yourself. And while you're still caring for the loved ones who do genuinely need your help, but not by canceling yourself. Water is energy. You know, water is not weak. It is flowing. It is adaptive, relentless. It gives life. Your underwater years weren't passive. You were swimming in pure creative energy, learning to move through emotional currents, building capacity you didn't know you were developing. You were learning prophetic intuition, like to read the room, to anticipate others' needs, to translate others' worlds, and to fit in as well as possible. You became a vessel through which divine energy flooded to sustain others, to give. And that's not weakness, that's power. Here's a shift. What if that energy flows through you first, filling your vessel before it pours into others? When I talk about emergence, I'm talking about fierce sovereignty, free from external validation. This is a woman who finally knows her worth without needing permission. This is divine power shining through you, not the masculinized power that dominates. I'm talking about the clear, unshakable power of a woman who stopped performing for approval, who stopped expecting safety from the outside, from the men, from the society, from the career, from the money, from whatever else, external safety. I'm saying you are not becoming hard or selfish. You are becoming clear and you value yourself as a divine spark. When a Naiad was disrespected in Greek mythology, her waters could simmer with fury, unleash floods and droughts. And this is a sovereign being that says, I will no longer let you drain me while disrespecting my waters. How many women suddenly stop tolerating what they tolerated for decades? Not from bitterness, not from revenge, not from running away to loneliness. No, but from clarity that this behavior doesn't serve true life anymore, godly life. For several days before their final molt, dragonflies, nymphs, live near the water margin. Breathing air for the first time while still in water, they are in transition, neither fully aquatic nor fully aerial. And this is the emergence phase, regardless of your age. Maybe you're 28 and newly sober. Maybe you're 33 and just left a career that everyone expected you to love. Maybe you are 45 and your children are becoming independent. So that's a challenge in itself. What do you do with your life from now on? Or maybe you're just like me, nearing 50, feeling your true life, your real true life, has just begun. And shifting from spiritual seeking and spiritual aspiration and a wannabe to embodying spirituality, to being an embodied spirit. That's a shift in itself. If you are still fulfilling some water world responsibilities by playing the corresponding roles, like the daughter taking care of old parents, or the mother taking care of the kids, or the partner, or the friend, and yet, you know, something fundamental is shifting, I would say listen to that deep inner voice, because you start breathing differently. And the old skin feels unbearably tight. You have outgrown it. And you are walking toward the light, toward an environment requiring wings instead of gills. The dragonfly emerges, its skin splits open, and it rests arched backward while its new structure hardens. And then it pulls free, and its wings unfurl, and it rests for some time before attempting the first flight, which is short. The first flight is short, by the way. The work is stillness, exposure, not struggling to break free from a cocoon that doesn't exist, not panicking that you are behind, or that your life finished and you're suddenly old, or you're suddenly too late. No, just rising from the waters into the air, cracking open your old skin and letting light do its work, letting spirit do what it does. Let Spirit, this platform and this YouTube channel, is about saving yourself. I'm here to see you until you see yourself again. I'm not here to save you. I'm here to see and to hear, to listen to you. This dream I had adds a crucial layer to my understanding, to the meaning I give to Let Spirit. I refuse to impose the wrong metamorphic paradigm into your transformation. Not everyone is to suffer their way into wholeness. Some of us are like dragonflies. We need exposure, not enclosure. We need stillness, not struggle. We need time in the light for our new shape to emerge, not pressure. Here's what I've been rebelling against. my whole life. The insistence that spiritual growth must follow a prescribed path, that if you're not suffering, you're not growing, that ease means spiritual bypassing. I absorbed this from my mother as well as from my spiritual teachers. I tried to fit myself into their cocoons and never managed, really. Of course not. And I thought I was the problem, that I was to blame. I was the guilty misfit, black sheep, all of those. It turns out I was just a dragonfly, being measured by butterfly metrics. And my intuition that life is about joy and playfulness and exploration was accurate. The Naiad stage is playful. They explore water. They are already themselves, just in a different environment. And they emerge when they are ready. Not because they struggled enough, but because the timing is right. For me, this past year, resting in light actually meant creating a daily schedule that included yoga practice, forest walks, and weekend mountain trips, even while a desperate voice inside my head screamed that I should keep working 12 hours a day to make Let Spirit happen faster. And it's been 3 months, it's been 5 months, it's been 7 months, it's been a year, and it's still not ready. Like, hello, what are you doing? You're so late. For a couple of months, I did live like that. But this was just out of pure workaholic habit, because I used to work like that for years as a volunteer for this spiritual organization. And all I could think of and do was work. And it was never enough. It was always more, and it was always... everything should have been done yesterday. Let's put it like this. And that's a paradigm. I'm sure if you're still here, you can relate to this. It's not just... it's a pity for me to have observed it in spiritual environment as well. But it's the classical way our society has been built. And now it's not the case anymore to promote and maintain this vicious approach to our lives. This habit also made me estimate very poorly the time that I needed to develop that spirit, for example, because that's what made me believe I could have done it in 3 months, which was impractical. No, this cannot be built so fast. No, actually it's been a year and it's still in the making. The butterfly paradigm I'm used to calls this failure. The dragonfly paradigm my subconscious signal me about calls this letting your wings unfold properly in God's timing. You still do the work, but you're not desperate. You're enjoying every step of the way. Even now, making this video about this dream related to transformation that doesn't require suffering, part of me still panics. I can hear it in my brain, like, your pace is too slow. This video is too long. This is getting nowhere. That's the inner voice, the one from the dream, the accusing one from my dream, the one that shames stillness, doing nothing, taking space and time, unfolding according to a mysterious rhythm that we are not taught to follow, but is rather specific to us. In fact, pure being matters the most, much more than doing anything. And every time I choose the mountain trip over the marketing plan, every time I choose the forest walk over forcing another video because I have to be persistent with YouTube and on schedule, I'm practicing what I'm teaching, trusting that my structure is unfolding in the light, even when I cannot see evidence of any flight yet. Some days I believe it, some days I don't, but I keep choosing the light anyway. If you've been feeling behind, if your growth doesn't match the dramatic arc you expected, if you are exhausted from forcing yourself into a paradigm that doesn't fit, consider this. What if you're not late or broken? What if you are just a different type? What if your years of lived experience weren't just preparation, but were the actual transformation you were going through, happening in an environment that others couldn't see? You are not broken for having spent years nurturing others, prioritizing others, putting others on a pedestal, adapting to impossible demands, sustaining systems that didn't sustain you back, not the way you wanted at least. You were a Naiad, a nymph, powerful, prophetic, sovereign, even while submerged. You're not too late because you're only now crawling into the light. Your time is now. It's coming now. You are right on schedule, on God's schedule. Your transition from outward service to inward authority isn't selfishness. It's the natural orientation shift of your emergence. It's you finally receiving divine energy first, then directing it consciously. The world needs women who know how to navigate both water and air, who can sustain life and enjoy their own, who can radiate divine power outward and inward. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is sit still in the sun and let your transformation My phone just fell off, so I hope the angle is still acceptable. I was saying that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is sit still in the sun and let your transformation complete itself at its own pace, according to a rhythm that doesn't match the script you are handed. Your process is valid, even if it doesn't match the dominant narrative. Your stillness is work, even if it doesn't look productive. Your emergence is happening, even if your wings haven't unfolded yet. The dragonfly doesn't apologize for not being a butterfly. Neither should you. Let your old skin crack open at its own timing. Let the light unfold your new form. Work with the light. Let 2026 be the year you stop apologizing for taking the time and space that you need. Let's spirit.